With that, we'll open City Council for December 21st, 2020, and begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Connie, I've been following the people participating. We've got a full council except for Lauren.
Yes.
So we should be able to proceed
Yep.
on from there. And we'll go to the agenda and the consent agenda, and we need a motion on that matter.
We need to excuse Lauren first.
Okay, I had already noted it, and Lauren Mager is excused. He gave us plenty of notice he wouldn't be able to be here tonight, so we appreciate his efforts to do that in the right way.
Okay.
Now we'll go ahead with the agenda and the consent agenda, if we have a motion.
Second.
Was this for the agenda or excusing Lauren?
Excusing Lauren.
Oh. Who seconded it?
Second, Kevin.
All in favor?
All in favor? I can turn this
Aye.
over if you need it.
Aye.
What?
What's that? Oh, forget it.
Okay. Oops, that's in the wrong spot.
I move to accept the agenda.
This is Julie, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the agenda for this council session and the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or amendments to offer? Thank you. We'll move now to department reports, and we'll begin with our Chief of Police, Jay Hunsiker. Jay?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things that we talked about due to COVID is a carryover of extra hours for vacation because everything was shut down. A lot of officers didn't take time because they couldn't go anywhere. I did the numbers, and there's only 2 that need to carry over, a total of 12 hours above the 240 that is allowed. And I'm like that, get concurrence with the council that that would be okay, because we have one officer would be at 262 hours by the end of the month, and the other officer will be at 262.5. And I'm in full support of that because because of COVID, they couldn't go anywhere.
I agree. I think they should be able to carry it over.
This is Andy, and I also agree with that.
This is
Yeah,
Bill,
I
I also agree. Do we need a motion for that amended one?
We just need concurrence, I think, isn't
Yeah.
that right?
That's what was asked for.
Just concurrence.
This is Julie, I concur also.
I think we're good.
We have council concurrence on extending those annual leave hours for 2 of the officers due to the conflict with the epidemic or pandemic situation for travel. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. The only other thing I have is just to let the city council know. 2019 we had a total of 3,338 calls for service, and now in 2020, thanks to the pandemic, we're right now today around the area of 2,792, so the pandemic has definitely slowed things down.
Yeah.
So, but I just wanted the council to know that's where we're at as far as calls for service for the law enforcement. That's all I have.
Anything else? Do we have our Goldendale Fire Department chief?
No.
Okay, we don't have, what about Public Works?
He's not on here either.
Okay. We'll move on to council business. And I've asked Larry to give us a quick report on the union contract with municipal employees.
Well, basically, this is the item where we would put a a placeholder for the union contract, as we have discussed, we'll need to table that council business to a later date. And so while we're at it, we might as well table the job descriptions as well, because that's tied to the union contract
Sure.
also. So we would like to request a motion to table both items to a future time frame.
This is Phil. I'll motion to table both items until negotiations are completed.
This is Shannon, I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to extend discussion and agreement on the union contract with municipal employees, as well as the amendments to the job descriptions, all connected to the current union salary negotiations.
Oops, I forgot to turn this.
Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I think they all said aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Thank you. We'll go on now to ordinances and the second reading of the 2021 budget.
Okay, the budget ordinance includes recommendations made by the council at the workshop on December 14th, and I really appreciate all who attended and their comments and their discussion. This is a full budget document now that's included for your reference, and it's ready to adopt. So hopefully we can get that adopted today, and we'll call it good for the year of 2020.
I move to adopt ordinance number 1503, adopting the budget for the city of Goldendale, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
This is Julie, I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we have questions or comments before we begin? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 1503, adopting the budget for the city of Goldendale, Washington for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
We saw you pop up and I admitted you, but you can still sit there.
I can't hear anything. We can hear you. Okay, okay, thanks.
So, okay, so
Uh-oh.
we've all voted, so that's done. The second reading of the 2021 budget for the city of Goldendale is adopted. The next item is the fourth quarter budget amendment, and Larry will also give us the details on that motion.
This is more of a ministerial requirement. When you're not supposed to spend more money than you appropriate. This is Drug Enforcement and Investigation Fund is a small special programs type of fund, and we really don't ever know when we're going to need those special pieces of equipment. So we only appropriated $2,000 in the beginning of the year for appropriate fund for spending on this particular fund. So we bought some suppression systems used for AR applications in drug enforcement, and that came to be about $10,000. So we had that available in that special fund to support that function, and we just need to appropriate the right amount of money to cover that so that our appropriations exceed the amount that we spend in that particular fund. So that was after a review of 2020 for the fourth quarter. I'll do one more review in the early part of the fiscal year, early part of 2021. before the open period is complete. The open period is the period between January 1 to January 20. Then I can finalize all of the funds at that point in time. But for now, we just found this one, and so I would request and recommend that the council adopt this 1504 fourth quarter budget amendment for 2020 and to waive the second reading.
Do
So
we
I
have,
know we do have drug issues in town. I am completely for it. However, when I looked up AR applications in drug enforcement, it brought up Arkansas and what they're doing.
Okay,
What is AR applications?
Okay, well, I'll let Jay maybe respond to that. He probably knows a little bit more about that.
The AR application suppressor units are a unit that allows protection for the officers when the weapons are fired in close quarters, so there's no damage to hearing anything on high-risk entries. There was some other reasons why those were purchased too, but I was not privy to that information because those were purchased by the former chief earlier this year. But it is a protection unit, and they do assist with the entry on drug search warrants, especially in tight quarters.
Well, we have to support our police officers because they support us every day.
any other comments or questions?
I move to adopt ordinance number 1504, being the fourth quarter budget amendment for 2020 and waive the second reading.
This is Phil, I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt ordinance number 1504, being the fourth quarter budget amendment for 2020, and waive the second reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
They're still eyeing.
Okay. Very hard to keep those voices separate. Thanks, everyone. The motion passes. The next item is the report of officers in the city administration, and we'll begin with Larry Bellamy.
Again, I just want to thank all the council for all their work spent over the last few months working on the budget. I think we have something we can work with for next year. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and then one other note is we did receive this week a request for a new subdivision in town that is going to be a housing subdivision up off of 18th Street, going out towards the east into that field, east of Columbus. So that's exciting news. There'll be more to come over the next few weeks as we begin the process of reviewing their land use request and their application. So I'm excited to see that. So that's it for me. The mayor left here, he's coming back now.
I knew I couldn't make it in time.
Normally you could,
Well,
because he talks longer normally.
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Aren't I honored tonight?
Well, we'll go now to listening to our city council members, and we'll begin with Kevin Fail.
Yes, I'm teasing.
As I've been gone for the last 2-3 weeks, I have nothing, but I'd like to thank everybody and wish them all a Merry Christmas, and I hope to be home soon.
Thank you, Kevin. Next is Julie. Any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had one concern that was brought to my attention. If the chief is still in the room, we had a citizen contact us about a GPD officer who was not wearing a mask while in the general store. So I'm not sure what the policy is for the police department. I would assume that wearing a mask while in public was acceptable. So I just want to bring that concern to your attention. Unfortunately, she didn't know which officer it was, so I know that's difficult to go back on. Otherwise, that's all I have, and I'd like to wish everybody on council an and the citizens of Goldendale a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Judy.
Jay's gonna respond.
One of the requirements of the police department for this is that if when they're in a public building is to wear the mask. If the officer is handling a call of priority or disorderly or something to where, you know, it's not just a casual contact, I do not require the mask, and because for the purposes of going to, you know, if it escalates to a disorderly or violent situation. But in general, if they're in a public building, they should be wearing a mask.
Thanks,
I
Chief.
appreciate that, Chief, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else, Julie?
No, sir, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to Shannon.
All I got to say is, everybody try to do your best and support our businesses in town, especially the restaurants and food servers, because they're struggling pretty hard right now. And if you get a chance, you can go to one or two of them or whatever and get carry out. And hopefully, well, they'll still be around when this is all over. And wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Shannon. Andy Hong.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I know it's been a very trying year for not only the city council, but for everyone in town. I like to second that with Shannon with, you know, helping the local restaurants out. I know that they all are struggling. I know I myself try to go a couple times a week for several of them. I wish I could go more, but my paycheck says no. But that's all I have.
That's the way paychecks are. Thanks, Andy. Phil.
Yeah, I have actually a couple more work things. I feel like a downer when everybody just says Merry Christmas and I have work issues here. Just to bring up, I haven't seen tonight, I haven't been home since the sun went down, but the north side of Columbus is a little dark. It's been dark all weekend. So we won't talk about my fear of darkness, but we can, if that wasn't fixed today, if somebody can work on that. Also, the four-way stoplight on Main Street and I think Golden over here by the Umpqua Bank, one of those lights is off. It's been off for a few months and I keep forgetting, but I was looking at it earlier and I remember to bring it up. And then on the mask situation, I didn't hear back, Larry. What is the city's stance on liability regarding the wearing of masks?
Well, I think our stance is similar to what the chief has indicated. We would encourage all of our folks to wear masks in public places. And encourage that use. We don't have I don't know that we have a policy that I could point to necessarily, but I can research that a little bit more and
Okay, and were you able to meet with the city attorney as to where the liability lies in such decisions? Is that the city absorbing the liability? Is that rest on department heads? And if it rests on the city, does that need to be an ordinance or an agreement upon by the council to absorb that liability? When public health is making obviously different recommendations.
yeah, I was going to set up a conference call with you and myself and Justin and our city attorney Quinn Plant to see if we could come up with some good paperwork or some good language to put into a policy.
Okay, that'll be perfect. One, I don't want that liability on myself as a council member. I don't want it on the city, and I definitely don't want it on department heads. They have enough to handle without being aware that, you know, they could be civilly responsible for for the cost of other people's lack of choice, I guess you could say. But definitely there's a high value number in lawsuits, in attorneys, that I don't wish on anybody. And I think that needs to be a priority brought up, so we can have a decision and everybody's making proper choices.
Okay, we'll follow up on that.
Other than that, yes, looking forward to the year ending and hopefully a better year for everybody.
Thank you.
Amen.
Next council member will be Mylan Walling.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, for a number of times I've mentioned that we're gonna get the reader board sign going. Now I can finally say the reader board sign is operating, and we're still working on it a little bit, the final adjustment, but the reader board is operating well now, and I wish it was just a little bigger, but then the funds were not there for enlarge it. Anyway, happy holidays, everyone, and that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mylan. Under remarks by the mayor, I do have a couple of things. I want to make sure that I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Don't get discouraged. We're not in a new normal. We're just in a rough spot. We'll be better next year. And also wish Larry good luck on some medical procedures he's going to undergo in the next few days, and we feel like he's well prepared for that. And the last item I think we need to talk about has to do with some very unwarranted criticism of the mayor and the council regarding listening and obeying what the governor is putting out for requirements for the holidays, for the requirements at any time to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 virus. I've sent each of you today a news release from Labor and Industry, because there's a lot of people that just don't think we have to listen to the governor. We can go ahead and do what we please, and that is dead wrong. And there's a Central Washington farm that has just received the largest worker safety and health fines in state history. And it had all to do with protecting workers and preparing workers to be able to avoid the COVID virus. That farm was fined, let's see, $2 million, right?
I think so.
Yeah, $2,038,000, $2 million. Now, L&I wouldn't be able to do that. The Liquor Control Board wouldn't be able to do the things they do. Any of these regulatory agencies would not be able to take any steps that we want to ignore because we don't want to follow the governor. These requirements, these restrictions are for your good and for your good of your neighbor and your family. And we need to be very, very serious about this and be patient more than anything else. But it's not just the governor that does proclamations. Those are Washington state government decisions, and we need to respect them. We believe in obeying the law as a city and as individuals. And in this one particular instance, a $2 million fine. Can you imagine what you or I would have to do to explain that being levied against Goldendale because we didn't want to follow the governor? It's an important point. I hope everyone will stay safe and well over the holidays. I know it's going to be a difficult thing, but this is not the new normal. This is just a never-ending wait right now. But have a great holiday, and I hope all your families are safe and well, and you do the best you can to protect yourselves and to protect those around you. We have now public comment. Do we have anybody on the line for public comment? 3-minute limit.
Mr. Mayor, this is Roger Nichols. I just want to say congratulations on being able to do Zoom and be able to see your smiling faces again.
It helps. Thank you, Roger. Anyone else for public comment? If not, do we have a motion to close City Council for 2021? For 2020. December 21st.
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn city council for this date. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I don't think there's any opposed, but we'll call for it. Thank you all, council members, for a very, very good piece of work, both in the executive session as well as here in this council meeting. I think everybody is working together in a very admirable way. Thank you all, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mayor.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. See everybody next year.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.